Welcome to the Airgun Show. In the second part of this week's episode, I'm going to be looking back over some of my most memorable shots from the past year. But first up, we've got another previously unseen hunting video. We filmed this one at the very end of the winter when I found myself targeting an infestation of rats in a pheasant release pen. Right, we've had a lot of ratting episodes over the last few months and I make absolutely no apology for that. It was a wet and fairly mild winter and that drove a lot of rats in off the open countryside and we shot lots and lots around the farms. Now, this is something a little bit different. If you haven't noticed already, I'm in a pheasant release pen. I was unable to shoot it through the pheasant shooting season for obvious reasons. I wasn't allowed to disturb the birds. Obviously, closed season now. There are still feeders in here. Throughout the pheasant season and onwards, those feeders have provided an easy food source for rats and they have really homed in on them. Just looking around here now, the base of the tree I'm stood next to is absolutely riddled with rat holes. There are clearly lots of them here. I'm going to have a bit more of a look round, try to work out where to set up, and then we'll settle in for a night's shooting. Wow, look at this. I mean, you could see there were rat holes around that first tree by where I was talking, but it is riddled with them here. I don't think we're going to struggle to find a few rats tonight. Right, well this looks like one of the main areas of attraction. I'm not very far from the tree where we just saw all of those rat holes. And there's a feeder here. There's another feeder just a little way along next to a holly bush where there's a lot of cover and there's a lot of rat runs around there. So this does appear, having had a bit of a look round, to be where they're most concentrated. I'm going to find a spot where I can set up within fairly comfortable range of these two feeders, get the rest of my kit, then get myself settled in and comfortable for when the light goes and hopefully these rats start venturing out. Okay, so I've set up in a spot that enables me to cover both of those feeders and the area around them. I have put out a couple of bait spots, my usual favourite liquidised cat food, though I've got the feeling it's going to be so ratty it probably won't make a great deal of difference. We will find out. I am sat out fairly much in the open, but to be honest with you, once the light's gone, I don't really think that's going to make much odds. I've made myself comfortable. As ever, I'm sat from a seat and I've got the sticks, so everything's going to be nice and steady. I shouldn't struggle at all to hold still on those shots when they present themselves. The kit, the night vision unit, this has really sort of become my go-to night vision setup through the winter and now into the spring. It's the ATN X-Sight 4K Pro. That is a bit of a heavy night vision unit, but as I've explained, I'm shooting it from the support of sticks, so that doesn't really make a great deal of difference. The gun is the Zebroya Hortesia, a relatively affordable PCP, but as I think I've proven over the last year or so, very accurate, very effective, and it can put up with a bit of stick as well. The night vision unit is connected up to that with my usual sports match scope mounts. So that's the kit. We just need the light to go now. The pheasants are just about starting to think about going to roost, so I don't think it should be too long till we start seeing a few rats. We've switched to the night vision camera now. A few late crows are still coming in to roost and the rats are coming out to feed in the gloom. starting to get wary now. I had to wait a bit longer for that shot. I ended up actually having to snipe that one from amongst the undergrowth. We've been here for about 2 hours, and although it hasn't been quite as hectic as I'd expected, we have been getting quite a few shots. Now, as I did expect, the bulk of them initially were around those feeders. We've managed to account for a few of those. Like I said, it's trailing off a little bit now, but I'm still confident that we'll see a few more.
You can see the light from the scope's infrared illuminator because we're filming with a night vision camera. It's virtually invisible to the naked eye, which means that I am able to pick off rats from the cover of darkness.
Oh, that was another one from right in and amongst the undergrowth. They are definitely feeling safer under that cover now.
Again, the camera can see the light from the illuminator, but the rats can't.
Oh, that one was way out in the open, so they're obviously not all on high alert. The pellet absolutely clobbered that one, flipped it, literally cartwheeled that rat like a headshot rabbit. Now, I've not reloaded yet because I've lost count of the number of shots that I've had, so it's probably a good time now to reload the magazine.
This is a job that needs some torchlight. If you have a spare magazine, it's a good idea to load that one up while it's still light. Then all you have to do is swap it over with the empty one.
Well, that one was a little bit further away, and again it didn't want to venture out towards the feeder. I'm really getting the feeling that they've just seen a bit too much of a pasting around that area for one night.
There's no denying that the rats are learning that it's dangerous to be out and about tonight, but another one eventually makes the mistake of presenting me with a chance. There are still a few rats on the move, but they're flatly refusing to come out into the open now.
Well, it was two in pretty quick succession there, but again they were being very cagey, and I ended up having to snipe them from amongst that cover. Well, we've just had another really long wait, and the rats aren't even moving amongst the cover of that holly bush now. It's gone very, very quiet. So it seems like a good time to wrap it up. 3 hours is about my limit. But it's been an interesting session, and it's certainly made a change from ratting around the farmyard, and I'm sure that the gamekeeper's going to be very grateful for the rats that we have managed to take care of tonight. And I'm certainly going to come back for another session, because from the signs that we've seen around this pen, there are plenty of other rats here. What I'm going to do now is go and get my grabber so we can get these rats sacked up and dispose of them.
A really interesting night's ratting there. It certainly made a change from targeting them on the farm. Next up, I'm looking back over some of my top shots from the past year.
Check out the great subscription deals for print and digital versions of Airgun Shooter magazine. You won't miss a single issue, even if you can't get to the shops.
Just like you, I'm finding it really frustrating not being able to get out shooting in all of my usual favourite places. Hopefully, it won't be too long before we can get back out there. In the meantime, I've been looking back over some of my most memorable shots from the past year, and I hope that they'll help to whet your appetite. So, let's kick off with one that's a bit unusual for the Airgun Show, a magpie. This was the first kill that I'd managed to capture using the side shot phone mount on my scope. It isn't the best footage at the world, but it's still a very significant moment. There may not be much activity around the pheasant feeders just yet, but it's not long before we get a chance at a magpie close to a stand of oak trees.
It's down.
Sticking with feathered pests, let's move on to farmyard feral pigeons. Andy Watkins is our king of the ferals, as he proves here by bagging 2 in tandem with a bit of help from his mate.
Quite a few in there, Tom. Just come in, there's quite a few really close, so we're just going to go for those ones first. 3, 2...
Now on to more familiar fare, grey squirrels. I shoot hundreds and hundreds of these invasive rodents every year around feeding stations. This one is a little bit different, as it was taken during a brief session at Park Farm where we film most of our reviews. There are squirrels around, but I can't get a reliable shot at them up in the treetops. But it's a really cold afternoon, and it isn't long before one comes down to the feeder in search of some sustenance. This next one is a rabbit taken with night vision gear. It really sticks in my mind because it had been a very tough night. Cameraman Nicky Brown and I had been out for hours with very little to show for our efforts, and then we happened across this absolute sitter and didn't even have to stalk in for the shot. After a fairly long blank spell, it looks like a rare stroke of luck is going to throw up a very easy opportunity. I feel like I've said it about 100 times, but many of the places where I shoot were absolutely teeming with rats last winter. The mild, wet conditions caused a major influx. Now, we've already seen me dealing with them in a pheasant release pen. Now we're going to move on to a hectic farmyard session, and I'm about to bag 2 in rapid succession. Well, that brings us to the end of this roundup of some of my most memorable moments from the show over the past year. Fingers crossed it won't be too long before we're all back to business as usual. In the meantime, stay safe.
Look out for the new and improved Airgun Shooter magazine, packed full of technique, gear and insight from some of the best shooters in the industry. Brand new look and free video content. Pick up your copy today in stores or online.
That's all for this week, but as ever, we'll be back again in a fortnight. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And do keep an eye on the BASC website for the latest information on how movement restrictions are affecting your shooting. Until the next time, stay safe.